are just powering through, keeping right on track. So this is great. Our next speaker, looking forward to Johan, who's a general manager of EMEA and APAC for Kenio. Let's bring Johan on the screen. There you are. Welcome, Johan.
Hi, everybody, and thanks for the introduction. Happy to join at my first Outtakes Live broadcast. So happy to be with you. I'm today in Paris from Europe to share with you my view of the new sales stage. You may not have discovered that sales stage yet in your sales process, but that's the roller coaster sales stage. So
Awesome.
before I go into giving you a little bit about the roller coaster stage, quick intro about myself. So I'm general manager for EME and APAC at Akineo. And at Akineo, we are a product cloud platform, SaaS software, and we help brands and retailers to transform browsers into buyers by delivering amazing product experience. So that's really what we love to do with our customer. And fun fact, my first role was to manage summer camp. Maybe that's why I have this background on my back. And and I love when I was doing those summer camp to have one day in the middle where we're out of the camp to go to a theme park, or that's maybe why I start to enjoy the roller coaster. But that was 25, 30 years ago, so that's a long time now. Well, I'm going to speak with you about what I've experienced with a lot of my peers who are driving sales organization, and we call the roller coaster sales stage that appear, a new sales stage that appear and that become more important, I think, last year. From the context, I'm been selling to mid-market, large enterprise, but also small and medium company in different technology landscape. 15 years ago, I was selling customer experience, and I sold ad tech platform, social commerce. And every time I mean, sales is a process. There is a universal approach on selling where it's really identifying what's the buying journey for the buyers. Buyers is identifying a problem, is identifying that he has some challenge, looking for what are the options to solve this challenge, and then evaluating technology, testing technology, and buying technology. That's, I want to really summarize what I can see from the buyer journey. And for us as software sales company, it's our mission is to match our sales process with that buying process and to have the right data and the right measurement to make that being efficient. And I think there is few things that change in today's market that bring me creating that roller coaster sales stage. So if I go into maybe mapping the typical sales process, and I mean, every company has his own version of that, but if I look often, it's I'll try a kind of universal ways. Our mission as sales organization is to engage with customers that I have identified that they have a problem and that I have been looking for solutions to fix that problem. And our mission with our sales team is to mentor, support, help our champion and the customer organization to identify those problems, the solution, and build the solution to fix that problem by positioning our offering, assessing that we are really matching all the criteria for solving the problem of the customer, having the right business case and value demonstration, and then close the transaction because we have executed that part very well. And I think that part is, I mean, remains what we are doing for a living as sales people and sales organization. But what has changed is maybe between the value demonstration and the case and the transaction, things are evolving and changing. Often in the past, our whole goal was to have, let's say, a band, meaning we have budget, authority, need, and timeline confirmed with the customer, and we know we are going to be able to engage with someone that can buy. But I think the situation is changing a lot. And I'm going to quote Mark Benioff, and one of his quotes last year was, we see customers becoming more measured in the ways they buy, sales cycle can get stretched. and deals are inspected by higher level of management. And I think that's a reality that most of us have seen and most of sales leaders have experienced last year and this year. Really, that situation where our customer is doing all the sales process and have the budget approves the authority, but then the transaction is on hold. And that's where we become to be in a kind of roller coaster. Hey, we are selected. We're going to win that deal. We're going to close it. Oops, project is on hold. Oops, budget that was approved is not approved anymore. Oops, new process internally on the on the customer side to be able to manage the transaction. And that's where we are in that roller coaster, where we think we are wow in the up, but then we go down, and then we go up, and we go down. So that's the situation where, when we analyze with my peers, average sales cycle duration was 50% longer than before. And that's really on that last mile of the sales process that it gets longer. That's why I create that roller coaster sales stage. Like, you are selected, but now you're going to be in the roller coaster to make sure that all the criteria that was confirmed at the beginning of the sales process, the budget, the authorities, the decision criteria, remain the same to approve the deal and close the deal. Why it's happening like that? I think that's because the buyer are a lot challenged internally. VPs or directors, they had their budget, but their budget is constantly revisited by finance, by the leadership, because the economic climate, the business uncertainty was making company revisiting all their budget. Also, internal approval process have changed. Yes, you have authority, but you need to confirm the decision with a new board, a new internal business case process, a new internal forum to get this transaction approved. And that's where it gets really this situation when we are selected and the deal is closed, get really, really longer. So how can we help our organization? We can evolve in that path. Few learning and things I've been experiencing with my peers is definitely having an ROI demonstration, ROI tools is a must. I think helping our our customer and our champion to really build this business case, have this internal ROI demonstration, and giving him tools to build it for his internal reviewing process is a must. And really supporting them by providing more sophisticated tools than what we used to having in the past. I think it's also supporting our champion to sell internally and understanding how to build his internal demonstration to win again the budget that he had and that was on pause or that maybe revisited by finance, or re-providing some templates, document, typical materials for that internal demonstration. And also us as leaders really managing that deal inspection more carefully. How can we help our sales team to really dig into that last mile of the sales process? Yes, you are selected. Yes, we are the preferred vendor. But how do we make sure that the project is going to be now, and that the budget approved and the decision criteria that was confirmed in the past remain the right one? And that's interesting to use in that case technology that helps you to get the voice of the customer, and AI, conversation AI tools like Gong, Chorus, Mojo, this type of platform was really useful for us as leaders to get the data and help our sales team to understand that new sales stage between the moment where we are selected to the moment where we can close the deal, by really managing this roller coaster internal approval system. So I think just my key takeaway is really important to understand the business approval process that has changed a lot. That's what's causing a lot of additional work on the sales execution, mainly on the enterprise business, really to understand if the criteria and and the prioritization and internal budget for customer remains the same as the one we had at the beginning of the sales process in the band, to avoid to be in a roller coaster and miss that closing sequence to land a deal. I think that was my learning of that new roller coaster sales stage. I don't know if there is some questions. I hope that was an interesting session.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you, Johan. Yeah, man, I cannot tell you how many deals we have in our pipeline right now that are stuck in that roller coaster. It is almost refreshing to hear you tell me that that's a common problem, because this is something that I think we've been seeing more and more over the last year to 2 years, especially as we get to the end of our deals. Um, I'm not going to throw anybody in our company under the bus on this one, but it was funny to hear some of our top execs say, "Hey, that deal, they said that they're going to close. So we're going to close one this in the CRM tomorrow, right?" And then to only realize, no, we have another 2 or 3 weeks ahead of us to get through the paper process and to go through the budget problems that they have had, right? How often is this starting to come up with you and your teams with the business?
Yeah, I think that's really something that was now in every deal, and I think that's really the learning. It's um, internal sales is much more complex for the buyer than it was in the past, and I think that's really what we need to understand is what's going to be the internal selling process to secure that approval. And I think that's all the coaching and the questioning and the deal inspection need to be on that space, and potentially doing the deal inspection with a champion is a new way to do it if you
Mhm.
have created the right relationship to get the leadership understanding the situation. So having your leader being exec sponsor on that type of deal could be a way to get them in front of that situation as well.
Yeah, I mean, resetting expectations internally with your team is good, and understanding that, we need to account for a few weeks potentially, hopefully less, but at the end of our deals, because there's a lot more scrutiny that goes into
Mm,
getting these over the finish line.
yeah.
And I think your champion comment is totally correct too. Helping your contact, your champion within the company overcome some of those internal obstacles is really the name of the game, in my opinion, about how you get this moving quicker. Do you agree?
Yeah. I completely agree. And I think for ops people also, probably changing the way the forecast is built by understanding that this
Mm,
last mile will take longer. So
yeah.
from a predictive model, you have to adapt your model. That's why we created a new sales stage on our side. And a lot of my peers were doing the same between the, the closing and the previous last stage before closing to manage the new sequence that need to happen at this stage because there is so much competition now between the different projects that a company will approve internally that you need to create this sales stage to manage the roller coaster situation and help your team to be successful.
Yeah, I think
Completely the point.
I think you're right. I think it's just as much managing expectations with your buyer as in understanding that as is managing expectations internally with the team, and maybe helping the frontline sales rep who's in the mess of it understand this is okay. You're at that stage, right? There's a history now of us being in this stage for a few days or a few weeks, and let's just manage it, right? And let's get it to
Yeah,
the next step.
and give me your roller coaster ticket. You're gonna be on it. So yeah,
Strap in.
let's experience that.
For sure.
All
Well,
right.
Johan, thank you so much for joining. I love this topic. Definitely something we're going to carry over to our teams, make sure that we're touching on. If anybody has questions or wants to follow up, you can feel free to check out the recording and be able to get contact information as well. But once again, thank you so much, Johan. Looking forward to connecting soon.
Thank you very much. Have a great day. Great session. See you. Bye.
You too. It looks like we've got a couple more presentations before we hit our break for lunch for those of us in the US, maybe dinner for those in the EU or elsewhere. We will be back at noon Eastern at the top of the hour, so don't go far. Thanks.